now, having known what should be in the feed, let's now formulate a simple meal using the available local raw materials that everybody will be able to afford. So our source of energy will be maize. So that is our carbohydrates. Our source of protein will be soya. That is the oiled, and omena. And our source of calcium will be the limestone. The analysis that has been done shows that maize contains Maize contains 14.5 kilojoules of metabolizable energy. And I said metabolizable energy is the energy that is available to the bird. When you feed your maize to the bird, it's going to give that bird 14.5 kilojoules of energy. So that is what the bird will be available for the bird. The rest will be wasted for heat production. The maize also contains protein, and protein is normally measured in percent. Protein, 8% protein is contained in the maize, and maize contains no calcium, and maize has a little bit of phosphorus. It has about 0.8% phosphorus. So whenever you feed your birds maize alone, you have given them 15.5 kilojoules. You have given them 8% protein, and you've given them 0 calcium, and you've given them a bit of phosphorus, 0.8. Remember, we said we require these vitamins and minerals in a certain percent. So the soya, when you feed soya alone, soya will give 13 kilojoules of energy. It will give 65% protein. It has 5% calcium and has 2.5% of phosphorus. So if you feed your animal maize and soya, I think you'll not be very wrong. But it's also, we said that protein value should also look at the amount of amino acids that are available. The omena, which everybody knows about, omena has 11% energy. It has 44% protein. It has calcium of 0.25%, and it has 0.6% of phosphorus. The limestone, which is the white color, it has 0 energy, it has 0 proteins, it has 35% calcium, and it has 0% of phosphorus. So basically I chose these four because they are giving us what we need. We see we have maize is giving us energy, it's giving us protein, but no calcium. So we have calcium coming from limestone, omena, and soya. If you have no proteins from the limestone, we're also getting it from all these. If you have no calcium coming from maize, limestone is giving us. If we have little phosphorus coming from the rest, now soya is going to bridge the gap. That's why I chose these four, because they are a little bit, they are complete, and they are locally available. Everybody will be able to get omena, everybody will be able to get soya, lime is available, and maize is what we are growing. Now, we can see how we can make 100 kgs of feed. Like we were giving an example of this feed. How do we calculate that we want to make 100 kgs of layers. We said that we need, am I on there? We said we need to make, we want to make 100 kgs of layers. We need proteins at 16%. We need calcium. We need phosphorus. And we need energy. So we are looking for these 4 to give us all these. So we can do a hard calculation that will assist you. 100 kgs, we said that when you're making 100 kgs of feed, we require 70% of that food should be energy, and our source of energy is coming from maize. So let's see, if we are doing our 100 kgs, let's say that we have made our maize to be 70 kgs. We are trying to see whether we'll be able to achieve what we are looking for. We have said that we are going to put 70 kgs of maize. We have soya and omena, which are now our sources of protein. So we need 20%, we need 16% to 17%. So we need the 2 to give us. So you can decide which one will be more, which one will be less. Let's say we give soya. Let's just equal them. Soya 8 kgs, omena 8 kgs. And now we are left with the limestone to provide the rest. So we have 86. So and now we have the lime giving us is 86. How many? 14. So these are simple meal that we have made. But are we meeting the requirement that we have said? Because remember, maize has energy, has protein. So if you're using 70 kgs of maize, 70 kgs of maize in 100 kilos. So we need to calculate that if maize is giving us 14.5, so if maize is giving us 14.5 kilocalories, so you divide by 100 and you multiply by the kilos that you have added to see the amount of energy the 70 kgs are going to give you. So that way, we'll see that the maize 70 kgs are going to give you 10.5 kilocalories of energy. So what protein is maize going to give you in 70 kilos? So we want to see how much protein we'll get from the 70 kgs of maize that we have put. So maize is giving us just 8%. So in 70 kgs, we'll get 5.6, isn't it? So we get 5.6. Maize has no calcium, so even if you use the 70 kgs, we get 0 calcium. But maize has 0.8% phosphorus, so how much do we get? So 0.8 over 100 times 70. So we get 0.56. I hope you're together with me. So now, when we use 70 kgs of maize, this is the energy we get, the protein we get, the calcium we get, and the phosphorus we get. So now let's see how much the soya, 8 kgs of soya is giving us. Soya has 13 kgs of energy, 13 kilojoules of energy. So if you use 13 over 100, multiplied by just 8 kgs, how much energy are we going to get? 1.04. And soya has 65% protein. So if you're doing 8 kgs of soya, how much protein are we getting? So soya has 65% protein, divide by 100, multiply by just 8 kilos, 5.2. Soya has 5% calcium, so 5 kilos, 5% of 8 kilos would be 0.4, isn't it? Soya has 2.5% phosphorus, so 2.5% multiplied by the 8 kilos, 20, isn't it? So divided with 0.2, is it? So that is what soya is going to give us. So omena has 11 kilojoules and we are using 8 kgs. So we want to see how much energy is going to be given by the 8 kgs of omena we have put. So 8 over 100, no, it has 11 over 100 multiplied by 8, 0.88. Omena has 44% protein, so 44% by 8 kilos, 3.52. Omena has 0.25 calcium, so it's going to give us 0.02. Omena has 0.6 of phosphorus, so 6% by 8 giving us 0.48. Let's see the lime. The lime contains no metabolizable energy, so we get nothing. Limestone contains no protein, so we get nothing. But it has 35% of calcium. So how much calcium do we get? 35% by 14. 4.9. We'll get 4.9 of calcium, and then we get 0% in the phosphorus. So to see what is provided by that feed that we are making, we add up the energy. Maize is giving us 10.5. Maize is giving us 10.5. Soya is giving us 1. So what the total do we have? 12.42 kilojoules. What do we have for protein? We have 5.6, 5.5, 14.42. Calcium, 5.39, and for phosphorus, 1.24. So we were trying to make a layers mash. We were trying to make a layers mash using what is available, and I deliberately did this that we can see what mistakes we make. So we have 12.42 kilojoules, which is quite good for the layers mash, but we only got 14.32 of the proteins, and calcium we need about 6%, because now the bird is laying, so we need 6% of the calcium, and we have 1.24 of phosphorus, which is okay. So we are wrong in the protein and we are wrong in the calcium. So what do? We have those two products. They are our sources of protein. So we need to know which one is giving us more protein, that we can have it in higher numbers. So now what we do is that we know soya is giving us 65% of protein. So if we need to just do 16, we can say now instead of doing 8, we will have to do 12 kgs. Now this one, you look at the economic value, how much is soya costing you, and then we just do 4 kgs of omena. Let's see whether this one will work for us. We have now decided, because we are not able to get the required amount of proteins and the required amount of calcium, what can we do? We need to play around with our sources of protein that we can be able to achieve. So let's do now how much energy will be provided by 12 kgs of soya. Soya has 13 kilojoules of energy, so 13 over 100 multiplied by, now we are using 12 kgs. We want to see 65% of protein. What are we going to get from the 12 kilos? 65% multiplied by 12, 7.8. 5% of 12, 0.6, and 2.5% of 12, 0.3. Now omena we are only using 4 kilos and it has 11 kilojoules of energy, so 11% of 4 and 44% of 4, 0.25% of 4, and 0.6% of 4. So all these figures are going to change. So 10.5 plus 1.5 plus 0.44, 12.44, 5.6 plus 7.8 plus 1.76, 0.6 plus 0.01 plus 4.9, 0.56 plus 0.3 plus 0.024, 0.024, 0.884. So we are still not there. We are still not yet there. We are looking for 16% to 17%, but now we are a little bit higher. We are now at 15.16. So you have to play around with these two and be able to get more protein and not jeopardizing. Or you can look at the maize. We have the calcium is okay as at now, the phosphorus is okay as at now, the energy is okay at now, but we are still not very okay with the protein. So again, we need to work it out and see whether we need to add the protein or look for another source of protein. But remember, we do not want to jeopardize, because every time we add a new product, all these factors are going to change. That's why we normally use the computer for us to computerize for us these, because if I put another source of protein apart from soya and omena, I will be jeopardizing the availability of the energy, availability of protein, availability of calcium, because all these foods that we have contains all these. That's why every time I teach about formulation of the feed, I need the farmer to know what is the composition of the raw materials that they have. You can see we have done it twice, but we have not yet achieved the 16%. What about if we say we don't use any omena now, because omena we can do without omena, because giving us just 0.01% of calcium, so we're not going to affect the calcium. So we can say we'll use 0 kg of omena. But now the 16 kgs will be provided for by the soya. We still feed feed, the quantity of the feed is still 100 kgs, but we have used 0 omena, so we have no ingredients coming from omena. But now we have changed. Now soya is going to give us 16%. We are using now 16 kgs of omena. So 16 kgs, omena has 13% of energy multiplied by 16. What energy do we get from 16 kgs? %65 of proteins. What do we get from 16? Or 10.4. Soya has 5% of calcium. We are using 16 kgs. What do we get? 0.8. Soya has 2.5 of phosphorus. What do we get from there? 0.4. Let's see if we get anywhere. We have 10.5 plus 2.8 plus 0. 12.13. 12.58 kilojoules of energy. We have 5.6 plus 10.4 plus 0. We have 16. We have 0.8 plus 4.9. 5.7. We have 0.6 plus 0.4 plus 0 plus 0, 0.96. Did we achieve or not achieve? So basically, soya is a very good source of protein. It can be used as seagull, but I said you have to be very careful with the amount of soya that you use, because soya must be fully burnt to reduce or to denature the trypsin. So that's why many farmers are opting to use soya, because if you use soya alone, now you see this kind of feed, you only have maize. We can even do an economic value of just these 3 ingredients. Currently, maize is going at 3,000 kilos per bag of 90. It means that 1 kilo of maize is costing about 28 shillings. So we can do an economic value, how much it's going to cost a farmer to buy 100 kilos. Currently, as we speak, maize is costing about 3,000 per bag in the market. If you go to the market today, so 1 kg of maize is costing 28 shillings. Soya is costing about 65 shillings per kilo. Currently, prices can change. So if you're using 16 kgs of soya, 65, help me, if you're using 70 kgs of maize and 1 kilo is costing 28, how much will we get? 1960, 65 by 16, 1040, and lime is about 6 shillings at most per kilo, so it's costing how much? 84, 12, 10, 18, 0. So we have formulated a feed that is costing 3,084. This is a bag and a half. If you go to the market today, you'll buy a bag at 70 kilos. About a 70 kg bag will cost about 2,800. So this is a bag and a half and 1,400. So it's going to add up to about 4,200. So, and you are not very sure of the composition of what you have bought. So now I've given you the values you look for in the chick. You're looking for 20% protein, so you play around with the figures that I've given you on a piece of paper and be able to see how much of this you can add. You can also analyze what is contained in sunflower and what is contained in cotton, and you can add them as your source of protein, and then you can play around with them and see what formula. Remember, what you need to limit is that cotton has a bit of fiber, so you need to limit. But basically, this is the simplest way when you can do a paper calculation of your feed. Otherwise, in the nutrition, we are doing it in a computer whereby all these things are computerized for us, and you are able to add. But if you want to make your feed, there's a basic way of calculating what is contained in each. And when you do an analysis of this, you'll be given the metabolizable energy, the protein, the calcium, and the phosphorus. Keep that one safe, and you can use it for your formulation. Now, you have known that you have the 70 kgs of feed. You are using 16 kgs of omena, and we are using 16 kgs of soya. We are using no omena, and we are using lime. I know you'd ask me, where are we going to get the vitamins? Because basically I have not put the vitamins here. Vitamins, we said most of the vitamins are bought as synthetic. Or if you do not want to buy the synthetic vitamins, you can do a supplementation of, you can use the fish oil as your supplementation to the bird. So this is another cost you're adding. And then you can do the green leaves, the grass, all those are going to give you vitamin. But if you're not going to supplement, you have to buy the premixed vitamins. They are locally available. There's a premix for growers, there are premix for chick, there's a premix for layers. All those ones are available. But if you don't need to buy to minimize the cost of producing that egg, you can just supplement. You can give your birds sukuma wiki, or you can give them grass and they will eat well. You can give them cabbage. You can give them fish oil. You can just throw away fish oil. People are also using maggots as a source of vitamins and minerals, as well as a source of protein. You can assist the sources of protein by using the maggots. They are available now. We can also use any type of grass that the birds are going to. There are some plants that birds are able to eat. All those ones are going to give you the vitamins that we require. But basically, this is the simplest way of formulating a simple meal, and at a cheaper price, because we are looking at cutting the cost. And once you have done all this calculation and you have come up with the requirements, now maize is not going to be put as 70 kgs as whole maize. The bird requires that you mill the maize, and mill the maize to the better texture. Because if you make it very powdery, the bird is not able to pick. Remember, the bird has a tendency of picking from the floor. The soya also, if you're making for yourself the soya, you will have it milled. The omena will also to be milled. Lime is wholesale, so wholesome, you'll come and just pour it.